Hello, my name is Haley, and my final project is based on William Wordsworth's poem, We Are Seven. My approved idea was to place the narrator on trial for being an unreliable narrator. I presented the trial through a special newspaper called the Literary Ledger. I chose a newspaper because the newspaper reports court cases, it explains evidence, it interviews experts, and it announces verdicts. This format allowed me to keep the courtroom idea I had in mind while presenting it in a very creative way. The newspaper is designed in a black and white look to make it more older looking and to connect it to the time period when this took place, when the Wordsworth poem was initially published. The main headline is going to read, "The court finds the The court finds the narrator guilty of being an unreliable narrator." This headline introduces the main argument of my project. I'm not going to argue that the narrator is purposefully, I'm not going to argue that the narrator purposefully lies. Instead, I believe he is unreliable because he only understands the situation from one point of view instead of considering the other point of view. He depends solely on completely on facts and the numbers and refuses to understand the little girl's feelings and how she may view the situation differently. In the poem, the narrator asks the girl how many brothers and sisters she has. The little girl says, "We are 7." She later explains that the 2 of her siblings have died and are buried in the churchyard. The narrator then argues that there are only 5 children because 2 of them are dead, leaving them to be only 5. However, the girl continues to say that they are 7, like anyone normal would typically do. So the evidence section of my newspaper, which is going to be here, this area, explains why her answer is important. The little girl visits the graves of her brothers and sisters, or her brother and sister, because there's only 2. She sits near them, she sings to them, she knits beside them, and she makes sometimes something to eat near their graves. She understands that they have died, but she still sees them as a member of her family. To her, the death does not remove the love and connection she has with them. It's just simply more of a separation. Like, you can't physically be with them, but they're still there with you in spirit. So the narrator sees family in a very different way. He only counts the children who are physically alive. He repeatedly tries to correct the girl instead of listening to why she believes they are still 7. This is why I believe his point of view is incomplete. I also included an expert witness section with all of the articles I used, with the 3 academic articles in my research that I used. So the first expert is going to be Aaron Fogel. In his article about poetry and the senses, Fogel is going to explain that We Are 7 challenges the idea that people and relationships can be understood only through numbers. I used his argument to show that the narrator treats the family like a math problem when it's not, while the little girl is going to see family through love and memory instead of just counting based off, there's only 5 alive, so the other 2 do not matter since they are dead. Well, no, that's not how she views it. She still views it as 7, even though the 2 are dead. So the second expert is going to be Margaret Russet. Her article discusses the poem's more gothic qualities and the uncertainty surrounding death. So her research helped me explain why Wordsworth does not give readers one simple answer. The poem is going to make readers question the narrator's confidence and take the little girl's view more seriously. And then the third expert is going to be James Shokuth. He explains that Wordsworth wanted poetry to help people think beyond just basic logic. I use his research to support the idea that the little girl's emotional understanding of death is very meaningful. She does not just pretend that her siblings are alive, she simply refuses to believe that death has completely erased them from her memory, from her family. They are still a part of her family even though they are dead. They are just as important as the ones who are still alive and breathing. So the court update section is going to list the defendant, the charge, and the final verdict. So the narrator is found guilty of being an unreliable narrator. Again, this does not really mean that everything he says is false. He is technically factually correct that only 5 children remain alive. However, he is unable to understand the emotional truth behind why the girl is still saying we are 7. So my newspaper ends with the idea that family is not only about who is physically present, it can also include the people who remain in our memory and in our hearts and who live within us. So through this project, I wanted to show that We Are 7 is more than just an argument about counting. It's more a poem about death, grief, love, and childhood, and many different ways of understanding the truth. So Wordsworth uses the disagreement between the narrator and the girl to show that the facts are important, but facts do not always explain the full human experience. Thank you for reading my project.